Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching the Political Vigilante. Well, there's a lot of talk about what's going to happen Tuesday on Election Day. And, we've talked about it on this show. I've talked about it with Lee Camp, with Ron Placone, with everybody that's come on this show recently. What do we think could happen? And there's a million scenarios. One of them, if it's close, Trump's going to just declare victory at the end of Tuesday night, because he's like, we shouldn't be. He said it in a rally yesterday or today even. We shouldn't keep counting. Whatever that is at the end of Election Day, that's what it is, because he knows. I mean, this is this is how the Republicans cheated in 2000. So they say, oh, George Bush only won by 575 votes in Florida. No. There was 170,000 votes that the Republican Secretary of State in Florida wouldn't allow to be counted. That's how, and it went to the Supreme Court, and then Al Gore doesn't fight, but that's how, so that's what they're looking to do. That's why you've got Wisconsin saying any ballots that arrive after in the mail, after the 3rd, won't be counted. California counts for 3 weeks afterwards. Every ballot should be, if it's an election, every ballot should be counted. If it shows up on time, it should be counted. If people are voting after Election Day, or they put it in the mail and it's postmarked after Election Day, okay, that one doesn't count. But like the state of California's rule is, if it's postmarked by the 3rd of November, it counts. So this is how Trump is already trying to frame and how he's going to cheat, because we've had 96 million mail-in votes. 96 million. That is over 2/3 of the total ballots cast in 2016. There's been open poll, early polling. There's been all this stuff. The Republicans tried to say that drive-in voting in Texas, in specific districts in Houston that are primarily Latino and Black, they're trying to discount those. They're trying to do everything that they do. So because you got to remember, Trump lost the popular vote. So not only did he lose the popular, so there's the 3 million people that voted, 3 million more people that voted for Hillary. You've also got the 7 million people that voted for Gary Johnson, the Libertarian, and the 1 million people that voted for Jill Stein. So that's, 11 million people that didn't, 11 million more people than who voted for Trump, right? So he knows he doesn't have the numbers. His base is small, crazy, cultish, and they're loud. But so here's what's happening, though. Here's what this is interesting, because there's all this like, and there's going to be threats, and there's going to be, Greg Palast was on the Jimmy Dore show saying, if they know there's a post office that has a bunch of ballots in there that are probably from a primarily Democratic or Black or Latino district, someone might say, oh, Proud Boys, go get them and burn it down. And that kind of crazy shit would happen. I hope all this doesn't happen, but there's some crazy, it's potential for madness. Well, here's something interesting. If Trump loses and refuses to leave, U.S. labor leaders have sworn to defend democracy by any means necessary. As Vermont AFL-CIO, we have the ability to shut the United States of America down. Let's read this article. Contested election, labor has a plan for that. The United States will have a chief executive, and voters will be able to return their collective attention back to the panoply of horrors that characterize modern American life on the 364 other days of the year. If Donald Trump fails to clinch a decisive victory over Joe Biden, an outcome that the polls hint is strongly likely, the current president of the United States has already laid the groundwork to contest this election. Even if Biden pulls off a landslide, that doesn't mean Trump will make a grateful exit. His intimations on the subject have not been subtle. Rather, Trump has seized multiple opportunities to blare out his desire to hold on to power by any means necessary. Like, yeah, he's not going gently into that good night. Narcissists never admit they're wrong. They don't concede. They like physically like like they can't do it. It's like someone who's colorblind can't see, like Trump can't admit he's wrong. He can't admit he's defeated. He can't do it. Like it's a mental illness. He has characterized the Democrats' pathological aversion to action and stacked the Supreme Court with craven loyalists, two of them who have a little experience when it comes to manipulating, have a little experience, right? So let's scroll down to this. A huge swath of labor movement has already mobilized to get out the vote. But even with the Biden enjoying endorsements of basically every major union, labor leaders are still feeling nervous about the outcome, especially if traditional labor strongholds like Pennsylvania and Wisconsin are slow to tally votes. Just last week, the Supreme Court ruled to invalidate absentee ballots in Wisconsin that arrive late, even if they are postmarked and sent in time. And Republicans have attempted to force similar maneuvers in Pennsylvania. On October 19th, the American Federation of Labor and Congress of the AFL-CIO issued a statement addressing Trump's effort to suppress the voting process. The survival of democracy depends on the determination of working people to defend it, it read. We will not let you take our democracy away from us. In an internal presentation obtained by Bloomberg News, the AFL-CIO warned that we cannot depend on our institutions to guarantee that our votes will determine the next president. The AFL-CIO has not so much as whispered the words general strike in any of its public-facing communications, but it stands to reason that the notion has come up behind closed doors. The U.S. labor movement has persevered through centuries of unrest, exploitation, and political repression. And for all its faults, has proven time and time again that the power of collective action is instrumental in forcing real change in this nation, which is what I've been saying. Christopher Hedges has been saying it. We've all been saying it. We've all said this. It's going to take it's like everyone just hopes this election, yay, we fixed it. Even if Biden wins overwhelmingly and Trump just says, oh, I guess I lost, thanks, America, which I doubt he would do. It's going to take a general strike. If this is what pushes us to a general strike, good, because we've been talking about general strike on this show for 2 years. So this is how you have to shut everything down to make real change. You have to force those in power to go, okay, you have to do that. And this is what's going to happen. The past several years have seen a resurgence of interest in the idea of mass direct action in which workers from multiple key industries refuse to work and take to the streets. It came to a head in 2019 in the midst of a brutal government shutdown that was bleeding workers dry when the Association of Flight Attendants, Sarah Nelson, called upon her fellow laborers to think big, to end the shutdown with a general strike. Remember, they threatened that? And I've talked about these examples where they threaten it and everyone, well, we went back to work or the government shutdown is going to end. I've talked to you about the Tokyo bus driver strike that happened a couple years ago. I'll refresh your memory. The labor union of bus drivers was fighting with its organization, and the bus drivers, rather than shut the buses down, because it's a culture of like being of service, and there's like elderly people ride the bus and people need to get to school and work, rather than shut down the economy, what the bus drivers did, everybody rode the bus for free. So the company lost millions of dollars because Tokyo has some private trains, some are run by the government and some are just private companies. That brought management back to the negotiating table. Get creative. That's what it's going to take, right? By invoking labor's nuclear option, Nelson called for the kind of militancy that once characterized the labor movement, and it worked. Chris Smalls got fired for organizing a labor strike, for just wanting hazard pay and more protective gear to work in hazardous conditions in an Amazon warehouse. Imagine if every Amazon worker said, done, shutting it down, It's over until we get union wages. What if every McDonald's worker, what if every Walmart worker said, done, not showing up for work, shutting it down, give us a union or we're out? We've really learned in this pandemic what an essential worker is. It's not a CEO. It's not a billionaire. It's not some punk ass politician, is it, in one of these two corrupt parties? Who's the essential worker? Truck drivers, store clerks, nurses, doctors, EMTs, frontline workers, people working in factories, shipping your stuff, driving your food, working in grocery stores, working in restaurants. Those are frontline workers. Yeah, food packing plants, people working in the agricultural industry, out in the fields or whatever. That's a frontline worker. Somebody works at a toilet paper factory. Suddenly we realized how important that person was. Now, didn't we? It ain't Jeff Bezos. We don't need him to survive. We don't need Elon Musk. We don't need Rachel Maddow. We don't need Tucker Carlson. We don't need Joyanne Reed. We don't need Anderson. We don't need those people to run our society. So general strike is what it's going to take. And if Trump tries to pull this shit, I actually welcome this. I'd love to see everything shut down. That's what it's going to take. Mass, peaceful, nonviolent resistance. That's what it's going to take. Shut it down. Shut it down. The NBA and the NBA was all set. They could have shut it down and they would have really woken people up. But then Obama came in and said, go back to playing basketball. And they did. Boo. That was weak. That was weak. Overnight, ESPN stopped talking about Black Lives Matter and George Floyd and Jacob Blake. Overnight, stopped talking about it. Now we're back to ball games, X's and O's. Got to shut it down. If all those professional sports leagues shut down and they just stopped playing all summer, the billionaire owners and the companies like Gatorade and Nike and Coca-Cola and Adidas and Xbox and all those companies that spend hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars on those games and the TV revenue, Disney, which owns ABC and ESPN and NBC and Fox and all those companies, all those big networks, there's shut down. Nobody's watching basketball. Nobody's watching the World Series. It's all that ad revenue's gone. It's out the window. Things would change if the owner of the Lakers and the Clippers and the LA Kings said, hey, we want real justice reform in the LA City Council. We want it now. It would happen. It would happen. It's going to take something bold and a 3-day walkout and then Obama telling you to go back to work, because that's what the billionaires want. They just want to get it. They're hoping all they got to do is put Black Lives Matter on a jersey or on the field or the court. That's what they're hoping for. And then some ads that are like, yeah, we're going to do better, but no real change will happen. You got to shut it down to get real change. And that's what the AFL-CIO is talking about. So if Trump pulls his shit tomorrow, this is what's going to go down. This is what's going to go down. Like, share, subscribe. We are literally, they have taken our subscriber count down. We were almost at 74,000 subscribers. Now we're at like 73,000. They're unsubscribing people. Make sure you hit the subscriber button. Like, share, subscribe, support what we do on patreon.com, on rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, which is a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. It's free to sign up for Rockfin. You get all my videos that are on YouTube that are also on Rockfin. There's no ads. And if you want the premium content, it's only $10 a month. And for $10 a month, you get everybody's premium content. Ron Placone, Convo Couch, Nico House, Kim Iverson, Whitney Webb, Richard Medhurst, Jimmy Dore, Lee Camp is going to be joining. Dave Anthony from the Doll is going to be joining. I have that confirmed. Boom. You get a lot for your $10. Thanks for watching. Shave your knuckles for justice. Hey, boom.